episode 168, brought to you by Creative Live. Start learning for free today with their amazing selection of live and on-air classes. With over 1,500 curated classes in photography and video, money and life, craft and maker, art and design, and music and audio, there's something for everyone. I've watched many of their on-air broadcasts for free or buy a class and own the content for life. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/creativelive and start building creative skills from the world's top experts today. I believe achieving success in the outdoor biz is dependent upon embracing the outdoor lifestyle and learning from outdoor leaders that came before you. If you agree, then listen up for tips, advice, and hacks about growing or starting your career in the outdoor biz. My name is Rick Sayes. Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast. I had the chance to catch up with Mel Mogil, president at California Innovations, recently at the Outdoor Retailer Show. Mel showed me some of the great new products in the Arctic Zone line, and in this episode, we talk about how they've grown over the years. But first, if you're thinking about starting your own podcast for your brand or passion project, I've created a free cheat sheet outlining 10 fundamental steps to create and launch your podcast. It has everything you need to know about planning, creating, and launching. Head over to ricksayes.com and download this free resource today. Hey, Mel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rick. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, good to be catching up with you so soon after Outdoor Retailer. Just last week we were there. It seems like months ago already.
It really does.
Time flies.
No doubt about it. We're at warp speed right now.
I'll bet.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you guys are rolling into, probably all the products are done for summer season, but you guys are rolling through, right? I'm sure you're quite busy this time of year.
Well, yeah, the year never stops for us because we have roughly half of our business is the cooler category, soft side as well as roto coolers. But
right.
The other half of our business roughly is our lunch, our meal carriers and that segment. So you roll from one to the other. And now when, it really seems like one season just kind of really runs into the other.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good for you. It's good. That's right. Keeps you busy, and it's good for business. So
you like to be busy.
That's right. What was your first exposure to the outdoors? How'd you get into the outdoor world?
I went to summer camp at a pretty early age, like 7. And this is, I grew up in Montreal. So north of Montreal is the mountain range called the Lawrentians, which is really quite beautiful. And what I remember that I thought, and I remember thinking that at the time, and here you have a bunch of 7 and 8-year-olds, and we'll be canoeing down some beautiful river surrounded by mountains. And, kids don't typically, notice or comment and really appreciate nature at that age. But we did because it was just so spectacular. And so that was, once you do that at an early age, you get the bug. You
get hooked
to be outdoors doing something or another. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of things did you do at summer camp? Did you hike and canoe and fish and typical summer camp stuff?
We played a lot of sports, baseball, basketball, tennis, but then the other side of it was all that, canoeing and camping. So it was a pretty well-rounded program overall.
Very cool. Did you do that multiple summers?
Yeah, right
Wow.
up to being, a counselor.
Oh, wow.
Different
Awesome.
camps, but yeah, no, one was in New York, one was in basically up north in the Laurentians, another one was in upstate New York.
Very cool. So was that your first outdoor-related job, camp counselor?
Yes, unless you count window cleaning, because I did that for many years, and we were outside. But
Okay,
it wasn't sort of outdoor market that you think about.
Right,
but
right.
It was what made the job great.
Yeah, being outside, I'll bet. Did you do all like residential and commercial, or focus on any particular one segment?
Oh, just definitely residential.
Got you.
Didn't have the stomach for a skyscraper.
That would have been that would have exposed you to climbing and all that gear, right? You could have learned how to use all that stuff.
Actually, I took great. Now that you bring it up, I took great pride in being like on my team, the high ladder man.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and I remember when I first started, I was on low ladder. I couldn't even imagine going up on that. But as time went on.
Yeah.
I was doing the big ladder. So it was about 3 stories. Which
wow.
is high enough.
That's pretty high. Yeah. That's cool.
It was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
tell our listeners about California Innovations. You guys have experienced a lot of growth over the last few years with, I guess, particularly Arctic Zone and Titan brands, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been very gratifying. We've been around since 1986, and California Innovations was, the company that I started along with a couple of other friends, and we were doing our thing from 86, and so was another company called Arctic Zone. And we were kind of like kindred spirits as we evolved. But today, we could talk about that as we go along about how all that sort of came together. But, in general, I would say that what defines us is, as a workplace, we're very casual, laid back, we're hardworking, but, you'll see people in shorts and T-shirts in the summer. Dogs are running free in our office. And
Nice.
basically, the order of the day is innovation and creativity. That is what we get up in the morning to do. It's our passion. It's our mission. And we're proud of the culture of innovation. And because of that, we've really pushed the boundaries in our soft-sided insulated categories. We've become the market leader. And it really all feeds off of the culture of innovation.
Very cool.
So as you mentioned, our brands are Arctic Zone and Titan, which is our newer brand, our high-performance brand, and that has been experiencing really phenomenal growth. And that's the brand that we are introducing to the outdoor industry because we know that these products will deliver just a fantastic outdoor experience for the outdoor consumer.
Yeah, the stuff I saw at the show was great.
Coolers.
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
Yeah.
And
So,
how did Arctic Zone, how did that come about? How did you guys purchase Arctic Zone, or how'd you join forces with those guys?
Well, we did in 2005. We had been at it for almost 20 years, each of us. And Arctic Zone had been purchased by a private equity firm a number of years prior to 2005. And they were, at one time, we both started at the same time. And Arctic Zone started with a tremendous innovation, which is a hard plastic liner with a soft-sided shell. And they were absolutely dominant back in the day. I mean, that was that product category just basically changed the game of soft-sided coolers because it just exploded. And California Innovations, though, was a more modest start. We had a collapsible high-tech cooler with a removable liner with a radiant barrier interior and an all folded flat. And we were doing okay and moving into, warehouse club business. And but definitely we were a much smaller, company at the beginning. But we sort of kept pushing and kept going and kept innovating, and as did Arctic Zone. But I think when they were purchased, they lost their inspirational leader, and we were busy developing. And we took people, didn't take them really, but we attracted some very key people from Arctic Zone because they were sort of they looked at us as what Arctic Zone used to be in their good old days. And I think there's truth to that. When I say there's a kindred spirit between the two companies, it's because when we started doing coolers in the early 90s, and what the landscape at that time was that the soft-sided coolers on the market were typically very, very bad. They leaked. They didn't work very well. And but the category was dominated by these, large multinational conglomerates. I like to say the big, we had to deal with that fact. But the opportunity that we both saw independently was that, this is a category that could be so much better. And now when you look back, I mean, it's unbelievable how much better it has become.
Yeah. Well,
retail underscores that, I'd say.
Yeah, and I hadn't checked out a soft-sided cooler, for years until I saw your products at Outdoor Retailer a couple of weeks ago. It's like, man, these things have come a long way. They're really nice.
Oh yeah, and they work.
And they
I
work.
mean,
Yeah, it looks. Yeah, yeah.
they work. It's a whole other ball game. So that was the opportunity,
Uh-huh.
and we both attacked it in different ways. But in both cases, the collapsible cooler, the cooler with the hard plastic liner, was a better mousetrap,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the only way that either company would have even seen the light of day, gotten product on the shelves. We had to be better,
Mm-hmm.
and we knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And that drives us to this day. We feel, even though now we are the market leaders, we sell the most of any company in the world, but still, when we get up in the morning, we know we have to be better. It's always the question we ask ourselves before we embark on any project,
Mm-hmm.
not, oh, can we make one like that?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Right.
We say, can we make something that is better, that gives it a reason for being on the shelves, for being in this world? And that's what drives us.
Yeah, and you were walking me through a lot of the innovations and things that you guys do to be not only better, but also differentiate yourself from other products out there. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well,
it's one thing to be better, but it's also, you also have to differentiate yourself, and some of the cool stuff you guys were doing. I think you showed me a Microban protection. That looked pretty cool. Talk about that.
Sure. Well, we introduced one of the things, we have a whole list of what we call game changers that have basically pushed the boundaries, changed the business for the better, expanded the business for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was we introduced in our soft sides, I think in 2000, Microban antimicrobial protection. And that was an instant hit. People are imitating that all over the place now, and rightfully so, because it is something that when I look at it, I think about, there was a time when cars did not have radios. Well, this is like, you look back, how can you drive without a radio, right? Well, how can you have a cooler that doesn't have antimicrobial protection?
Right.
When you think about what goes in there, it inhibits bacteria, odors, stains. It's pretty necessary.
Yeah,
so
pretty amazing. Yeah.
Now that we've entered the hard-sided rotocooler business, we decided to first investigate, see, how to do it. Is it possible? Yes, it is. And we did a lot of research on this specific question about how do roto-molded coolers users feel about antimicrobial protection.
Mm-hmm.
And we were pretty impressed with the response, in the sense that, we asked about a lot of features, but that one ended up, if not the top, very close to the top in terms of ranking. And it makes sense. I think we talked a little about that when we met at the show, and it makes sense because it is even more necessary in coolers that can carry basically blood and guts and all kinds of stuff.
Raw fish, right? Raw meat.
And it makes it easier to clean by inhibiting the bacteria, the buildup. It just makes your cleaning process much more effective.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a powerful new feature for this category.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Yeah, I was enthralled by that.
Yeah.
I got to get one of those coolers and put it through its paces. What are some of the other innovations that you guys are working on, or that you introduced at the show?
Well, sure. I mean, we talked already about how California Innovation, CI, we call ourselves internally, how CI brought forward the collapsible cooler, the hard body cooler with plastic liner. The zipperless cooler has been just an absolute game changer for us, for the industry, because that really is a better mousetrap. It eliminates the hassle of a zipper. It eliminates the zippers can actually lose cooling. Heat can get in through zippers, so it's a weak link. But most of all, it just makes it better. The cooler is fully protected on all sides with plastic, because the lid is plastic and the hard body liner. And then on the inside, we have shelving, which is very, very functional, so that yeah, you can carry, beverages and ice, and then above that, in your shelf, you can have sandwiches and dry food. So
Right.
it's really just a marvel of a cooler, and like I said, it was a game changer. We introduced the first soft-sided rolling cooler many years ago, self-inflating cooler, and I know we talked about that a little
Yeah.
bit at the
Yep.
show.
Yep. Saw
I mean,
that
that
too.
was a
Yeah.
huge hit.
Yeah.
People love that. And what people I think were impressed with is, as far as on that product, it folds down flat. You can roll it, stick it in your backpack, so it's incredibly functional.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a high performing cooler because air is a tremendous insulator. So the
Mm-hmm.
combination of the air and the foam, it's just so it's really, really a great product.
Yeah, and I love the fact
And
that you can deflate it and roll it up and make it compact and getting out of the way, because that's a lot of us travel with more stuff and less space these days. So as we can get it more compact, that's a winner for me. Yeah, I like that.
I think we didn't have as much emphasis at this show, but we're very proud of our ice walls, lunch pack,
Mm-hmm.
coolers that deliver fridge cold performance. Fridge cold performance is defined as 40 Fahrenheit or below.
Okay.
So we could keep food for up to 6 or 8 hours
Oh wow.
fridge cold. And the reason we're able to do this ties into how we go about things. We're very much performance oriented. We've worked with the University of Chicago, where they helped us. This goes back many years at the beginning, when we were really very interested in how do you deliver. When we still are, but at the beginning we were sort of finding our way, and we worked with the physics department at the University of Chicago, and sort of interesting in the sense that when they were working with us, they actually jerry-rigged in their own right, but they had some sophisticated tools to do it, a performance lab. And through that, they did a lot of work and, trying to, like a tunnel, and, they were controlling the temperature and everything. And then what it did with our group, I should point out, we have a design office in Chicago, which was the former Arctic Zone, when it was Arctic Zone, owned by the other company. And then we have another design office in Toronto, and they both have performance labs. But the origins of the where the light bulb came on was in working with the University of Chicago. They saw how they were going about coming up with building their own sort of performance labs where they can test and control temperature. So because of that, they realized, you know what, we don't have to have like some fancy high-tech room that, that is built. They started, we do have that actually now in our Toronto office, but it's not, we still have our more basic version in Chicago, and it's just as functional and effective and everything. But the first one that they used was a dog crate as the starting point. And then they started to put, like insulation, housing insulation, and they start to build it out. But through that, they built this performance testing area where they can control the temperature, and not like they can today, but still it was enough to get us going.
Yeah.
And when you have that, you're able to calibrate your innovation, your insulation. And so we've developed some very effective insulations that have radiant barriers that face out and in, and multi-layered foam, high-density foam we call super foam. And then we developed these high-performing ice walls. And the ice walls slip into the walls from the outside. So what that means is that when you load it in the morning, if you want to put everything in the fridge in the bag at night, which is what a lot of people do, you don't even have to open your bag until it's time to eat lunch.
Oh, cool.
So when the first time you open your bag to eat lunch means you've not lost any energy. That's how we got to fridge cold. And then, of course, we tested until we got to the right formula, and now we're able to make this fridge cold claim. So
very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, we like that.
That's awesome. So yeah, you guys that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I used to be a river guide, and we used to do that on the rivers. We'd lock up the fourth day's ice chest. We wouldn't open that thing until day 4, because you're right, you just lose every time you open it. You lose cool. So
yeah,
very cool. So over the years, what has been most rewarding with all these innovations and growing the company. You got some great people there. Sounds like you have a lot of fun. You said dogs basically run the place, I think.
Well, they kind of do. Yeah, I mentioned to you that, and, the thing about when we decided that we were going to open the doors to the dogs, in my mind, when I thought about it, I had this vision. And when I think back, I think, what a dummy. But anyway, I had this vision of, person brings their dog's like lying next to the person who's working at their desk and everybody's happy. It's not like that at all. And someone who was like a buy team was visiting us in our showroom, which has glass doors, and they're busy. We're working together and talking, and then the buyer looks at the glass doors, and a couple of dogs are just walking by themselves past the showroom. She goes, you have dogs running by themselves here. And I go, yeah, I guess you're right. And, it really works. It's just, that has been such a game changer for us. Really, I would highly recommend that to anybody who has a business. Bring some dogs into the business. You'll thank me. Seriously,
Exactly.
Morale goes up. You see people on the ground, rolling around with them, tickling their bellies. It's just I look at them and you could feel your heart rate drop.
Yeah, just loosens
watching
up.
a dog.
Yeah,
So
that's right. That's good
it's
advice.
unbelievable. So if you want to know, most rewarding to me, certainly just existing, pushing the cat, in the face of all that competition that we had and have, and thriving. Of course, that is very rewarding and gratifying. But at the end of the day, it's always about the people. That's the reason why we are where we are. And for me, what I find really tremendously rewarding is that I love to see how people in general who work for us evolve, grow, and we take a lot of pride in giving people that encouragement and opportunity to grow professionally. And partly it's being nice, but really it's a good business model.
Yeah.
So I'll give you, over the last few years, it turns out that our reception desk happens to be a launch pad for careers, because we have. And I have to say, this all comes from, if I'm, I certainly don't want to be preachy, but I will say that a critical aspect of any company is their HR department. And our HR department is just fantastic because they don't only look for good people, they look for people that will fit in.
Exactly.
And, we have a lot of interviews where the interviewers aren't management, it's their future potential co-workers who are, meeting them, sizing them up, deciding if they can work with them, and it's been very, very effective in the culture. So, in terms of talking about receptionists being the launch pad, is that over the last few years, one of our receptionists, she started helping out with the photography department in our graphics team, and one thing led to another, and she, started to really develop. I guess a passion for it. And as soon as an opening came about, she moved.
Wow.
Her replacement comes in, and they were fantastic receptionists. I'm not minimizing the job; it's incredibly important. But my point in all of this is that we give people, if they want to move on,
that's great.
We're not going to pigeonhole them, and we're not going to hold them back. So another receptionist is now part of our great HR team.
Wow,
that
cool.
was what she saw as being something that she's great. So, we really do take. So that for me is absolutely one of the most rewarding aspects of this job.
No, I think that's important. I think a lot of folks, I shouldn't say a lot, but some folks don't put as much emphasis on culture and HR as they should. And all the best places I've ever been have great culture, great HR, great teams. A lot of fun, engaging activities. So I think you're right. You're spot on with that. What have been a couple of challenges, toughest challenges over the years? A lot of years, a lot of growth, up and down, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. The two that actually come to mind were um, in the early 90s, and we were very small at this time, and our largest customer and pretty much the bulk of our business at that time, we had launched a high-end lunchbox. And, the lesson that comes from that, I think, is actually a good one certainly for me to have learned from. And I think for anybody, is that the way that this thing evolved is we included an ice pack. Mm-hmm. And at one point, our supplier in Asia goes, would you like it to be clear or opaque? Mm-hmm. I figured, I'll ask the buyer. And she says, clear. Mm-hmm. So that's what we did. Mm-hmm. And, a week after it hits the floor, as I mentioned, strong sales, really, I get a call from the buyer. And she says, I remember it like it was yesterday, even though it was the early 90s. Mm-hmm. Mel, are you sitting down? Oh, no. And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, we found that the ice packs had these black cooties in them. We can't sell that.
They're inside the ice thing?
Yeah, you could see it in the clear cover. So I'll explain how it got there in a second, and that's where the lesson learned comes in. So I held my breath when I asked this next question. I said, what would you like us to do to fix this? And well, the reason I held my breath is that if she had said, just take it back, Mel, just take it back, this program is over. Mm-hmm. It could have been existential. Yeah. So that's why I was holding my breath. So instead, though, fortunately, and I think, it was because she had a week of, strong sales. She goes, Mel, fix it and fix it fast. So, and that's what we did. I mean, we just, as you could imagine, we found a new ice pack maker. We turned it into, that was during the days of, you remember Desert Storm? Yeah. Early 90s? Yeah. So we sort of, in our communications with her, we sort of called it Operation Ice Storm, just to underscore the urgency.
Right, sure, yeah.
So we turned it around in days, not even weeks.
Wow,
somehow we
impressive.
just, we got people working on the week. But here's the point that I was bringing up earlier about what I should have done but didn't. When my supplier said to me, do you want clear or opaque? My question should have been, have they ever done clear or opaque? Like, what have they been doing? I would have learned then they had never done clear. Okay. And the reason that this all happened was they had been shipping, what it was bacteria, the black stuff. It wasn't really like anything harmful, but it's just, you don't want to look at that.
Yeah.
So, but if you don't ask whether somebody had done something before, you pretty much get what you deserve when they do it for the first time and you're their guinea pig.
That's a good lesson.
So you never want to do that. And so, what it was is in those days, they weren't actually using antimicrobial inside the gel part, which is they do that now as a matter of course. Mm-hmm. And by shipping it opaque, it's all happening in there, but no one knows.
Right, sure.
It's not harmful. It's just, aesthetic. So that's the lesson learned. And the real lesson, I have to say, in all of that was that what really matters and what has really mattered to us over time is obviously you have to achieve success and successful products and programs, but you also have to deal well with adversity. There's always adversity at some time or another. Yeah. And I think that because of how we stepped up in that moment of adversity, that's why we have kept that business virtually uninterrupted for over 25 years.
Yeah.
And and that is a part of our, bio with them. Mm. It, the speed that we did it was sort of legendary, I think, because they did not expect that. that quickly.
Right.
And so they were just thrilled, and I think they know that if the going gets tough, we're there. And I think most of, not all of our customers know that about us.
Well, you established yourself as a partner, not just a supplier, and that that goes a long way.
Exactly.
In this day and age.
Exactly, Rick.
Yeah, that's great.
Totally agree. Yeah.
So have you?
So, do you want more? We've had more than one tough challenge. If you want,
I
more.
can imagine. I wanted to go on to. Have you had any mentors that have helped you along the way?
Well, I have in I had a career before this in law.
Okay.
I was a lawyer for a number of years, like 10 or 11 practicing. So I had a number of mentors there naturally. Mm-hmm. But if I had to choose one overriding mentor, because like I said, I have a lot of people to thank for helping me along the way and teaching me, and more on the law side when I was just starting out, in life, really,
right.
In professional life, rather. My grandfather was, not a preachy type or anything, but he was a very decent, honest man, and watching him interact and watching people interact with him and the way that he approaches them and the world and how it approached, reflected back on him, it was a powerful lesson of the importance of decency. And, I wasn't getting that type of message all over the place.
Right.
So he became sort of a beacon in that way. And I kind of tried to, keep him and that in mind pretty much with everything that I do.
That's very cool. What did he do for a living?
Well, he was he had a business in Germany, before and actually during the Holocaust.
Oh, wow.
And, once you've gone down that road, I can explain that the reason that he survived was that, people who worked for him, rather than, when those days, those people were given free license to basically vandalize their workplaces and their home places of their bosses. And so that didn't happen. Instead, somebody, their bank accounts were frozen, and but someone risked their life to go to the bank, get money, so they were able to book passage out. But for that, so that was always a powerful lesson for me about basically the power of decency.
Yeah. That's a great lesson. Yeah, and yeah, that's great. My grandfather was similar. He was a very good guy, and I think I learned more from him than anybody else in life. Grandfathers have a way, they're just so fatherly, yet they're also kind of your buddy because they're not your dad, and it's a unique relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
That's cool.
Most people should have a good grandparent or two.
Hopefully. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And how about some of the nonprofit work you guys do? I think I saw on your website you work with a few nonprofits.
We do. I mean, I personally work as a director of Colorectal Cancer Canada, and that's a whole other story as to how I got to that. But the short form is that my best friend was diagnosed with that cancer and survived against all odds. And when he decided that, in the depths of his despair, said that if he makes it through, he will give back. And, a lot of people would say that and then not do it. But my friend, he started that charitable organization, and, I couldn't be more proud or honored to sit on that board, because it's doing amazing things, but it's just the story behind that. It's unbelievable. But on a company basis, we do, eclectic things, like we do an annual food bank drive. We've done Hurricane Harvey relief. We did the, don't know if you remember the Yonge Street terrorist attack a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And did that. We did the volcano in Hawaii, a group of people who really suffered terribly in that volcano. They were looking for actually coolers and lunch bags.
Sure.
So we were more than happy to step up and give them some help. And then we've recently started working with the Conservation Alliance. So, I should never forget, we do a lot of like dog related causes as well. Imagine.
I
buried the lead.
I should have thought to ask that.
Yeah, no, we love our dogs.
Sure.
They have them on our website. It's a growing group, and I've already talked enough, I think, about how powerful
that's awesome.
that change has been. Yeah.
What outdoor activities do you participate in? Do you still get outside? Do you get up to that camp at all? No.
Oh no, not in a long time.
Yeah.
But there's a ski resort there called Mont Tremblant now. That's the area.
Okay, that's the area. Got you.
Anything about Mont Tremblant?
Yeah, I've been there.
Then the area.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so you got an idea of that area.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I like to rollerblade, paddleboard, and I do a lot of hiking I have two high performance doodles, and they need to run, and we're lucky here in Toronto because we have like unbelievable green spaces for letting dogs run free, and it's just it's awesome. Even in the middle of winter, I'm always happy to be out there. I might not choose to be out there when it's like snow, sleet, hail. But I go, and I'm never ever, you dress for it. I'm never sorry.
Yeah. Well, the dogs get so much energy out of it. That's super fun. Yeah. Do you have any suggestions or advice for folks either wanting to get into the outdoor biz or maybe grow their career if they're already in the industry?
My advice is love what you do. And if you love the outdoor, if you don't love what you do, it's hard to be successful at it. And I'm sure if you think about people who are successful, most often, not always, but most often, they love what they do.
Yep.
And I think it's hard to succeed if you don't. So if you love the outdoors, that's a great start. I would say my other piece of advice is, I'm sure it's come through here, is appreciate and honor the people that you work with, because that's the only way that they're going to be aligned, and the only way that you could be successful. It's always about the people.
Yep, it's
so
a team game.
You have to remember that and respect that. And so if you put it together, you get good people, and you do the things that you love, and you do the markets, you go attack the markets that you enjoy, well, chances are you will do well at it.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. In addition to walking the dogs, do you have any other daily routines? You keep your sanity? You meditate? Walk the dogs? Get a lot of that, sounds like.
I work out almost every day.
Oh, okay, good.
And start my day well, and I think that keeps my sanity.
I'm the same way.
That and those hikes with the dogs. That's absolutely insane. Those are, we're not talking 10 minutes. It's usually an hour or more just running around out there with that.
That's great.
It's awesome.
That's great. That's good. Yeah. Do you have any favorite books, or do you give books as gifts very often?
I'm not a book gift giver typically, but I have a lot of books that over the years that I've really liked.
Got a couple that stand out.
I like the good, for sure. Good to Great. I don't know if you know that one. That made a big impression, and I look at our company and I say we're working hard to go from good to great, and I think we're getting there. I've always loved Herman Wouk's Cane Mutiny, Pack of Two by Carolyn Knapp. That's a great dog book. 7 Types of Ambiguity, Philip Roth's Nemesis, Portnoy's Complaint, of course. So those are some of the ones. I mean, there's just so many that it's
I know. Yeah, it's tough to find a couple. Yeah. How about a favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100? Here's your time. Here's the time for your shameless plug.
Well, if I include our own, and I would, I love our Titan backpack cooler.
Okay.
I love it because it fits what I do. Like, it's what I take when I go around hiking with my dogs. I can put water, I can put their poop bags, I can do, leashes, and then, when they're not in use, you can just, or you use them when we go to the beach, and it's just hands-free carrying. So I love that.
Perfect.
So there's your shameless
There you
plug.
go. Got it. Yeah,
Thank you.
we'll link to that in the show notes for sure. As we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners?
Well, check us out at arcticzone.com and let us know what you think. We're
Cool.
always, we love feedback, good or bad.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We'd love to hear from you guys, and hopefully you check out our products and tell us what you think.
We'll link to all that
I'm
in the
very
show notes too.
confident you're going to love them.
I'm pretty impressed. I was,
history.
I hadn't checked out your products. I don't know if probably years and years past, but yeah, you guys are doing some pretty cool stuff. So we'll link to all that in the show notes. And where can people find you if they want to follow up? Email or LinkedIn? Where's the best way to reach out?
Probably email.
Okay.
You want my email? mel.mogil, M-O-G-I-L, at ca-innovations.com.
Cool. We'll link to that in the show notes too. Yeah, perfect. Well, thanks, Mel. It's been great catching up with you after the show.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, good to meet you last week.
All
and
right.
I hope I see you before the next OR, but you never know. Probably next OR.
Yeah. Perhaps sooner. You never know.
You never know. That's
Thank
right.
you.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Until next time, be sure to make time to get outside.